Hey guys, John here. Today we are checking out a really cool new amplifier by Orange, the Gain Baby 100. It's small, it's lightweight, but it's a 100-watt solid-state amplifier and it sounds really good. So let's dive in right away with a demo track. Take a listen. Alright, so what you heard there was my ESP LTD Phoenix 1001 into the Gain Baby on the dirty channel with the tight switch on. And then the amplifier will be fed into my Grossmann Fatbox 1x12 cabinet loaded up with the Celestion Vintage 30 for the entirety of this video, by the way. Mic'd up with two SM57s and one MD421 Kompakt. That signal is going into the DAW. Panned and no real EQ will be added aside from some simple low cuts and around 80 Hz or so. And by the way, if you want IRs of all my cabinet sounds, check out the links to my web store below. But yeah, that sounded really good. So Orange has recently launched 3 amplifiers at NAMM. This one, the Gain Baby 100, but also the Dual Baby and the Tour Baby. And they are all 100-watt solid-state amplifiers, and Orange has been doing a great job at solid-state amplifiers. I mean, the Crush series is really popular because they sound really good. It's not like when you're playing them that you really feel, oh, this is a solid-state amplifier. No, they sound and feel quite organic to play. 100% the same as a tube amplifier? Probably not, perhaps not, but very close indeed. So these sound really good, and you know, you can take these on the road, and since they're so compact and lightweight, you're gonna have a really good time traveling with these. So in terms of tone, portability, and power at 100 watts, and also the features, these things are so good. Now, initially they wanted to send me the Dual Baby, which seems like a really cool amplifier as well, but then why not send me the Gain Baby, because I love gain. And I'm also a sucker for a good clean channel, which this amplifier has as well. I should also mention that these amplifiers come with a gig bag, so that is really nice as well. And as you can see, very compact indeed, right? Really nice stuff. Now let's take a look at the features that this amp has to offer. So we have 2 channels, that orange channel over there, that's the clean channel, and the white area over here, that's the dirty channel, so the high gain channel basically. But you can also get some crunch tones and stuff out of this, which we will get to. Over here we have the input, and then over here the power switch and the channel switch. But on the back of the amp you can also connect foot switches to change the volume levels, because the dirty channel has 2 volume controls, and of course to change the channels. Now the clean channel has 2 EQ controls, a bass and a treble control. That's the same as my rocker verb basically. We also have a basic volume control, and then this compressor over here. I believe that this is a VCA compressor, and it sounds really analog. And when you push it, you can really start to hear that sound compress and squeeze, which is a quite nice effect, to be honest. You'll get to hear that later in this video as well. And then on the dirty channel, as I said, we have two volumes. So the normal volume and the foot switch volume. You can use that to boost the level for solos and stuff. We have a gain control, of course, a 3-band EQ, and then a presence control, which you don't always see with orange amplifiers. In fact, this is the only orange amp that I currently have that has a presence control. So I like that for fine-tuning the top end, you know, to the speaker that you are using, which in this case is a Celestion Vintage 30. So in the middle, it sounds pretty good with that speaker. Now we also have a very cool other control, the tight switch, this little toggle switch over here. And that basically is a low cut, as far as I know anyway, it's a low cut in front of the amplifier that makes the sound more tight and percussive. Great for modern tones and extended range instruments and stuff. So it's really cool that they added that. I did use that in the intro for the tones, but we'll also try the amplifier without. And later on in this video, you'll get to hear me try it with and without, so you can kind of hear the difference. With a lower gain setting, the sound of the bright or tight switch is more drastic. And the more you turn up the gain, the more subtle the effect is, but it still has a good effect on the feel and tone. So that's really cool. And on the back of the amplifier, of course, we have the speaker outs and also a direct out with a ground lift switch, which you can use to send the signal of the amplifier into an IR loader, for example. So that is really cool as well, especially for recording at home and all that good stuff. And I believe, but I'm not 100% sure, but I think that you can operate most, if not all, solid-state amplifiers without having a cabinet connected. So for recording at night silently and stuff, that would be handy, but do check the manual just to be sure. All right, now let's explore some more tones, and let's start with a beautiful clean tone using my ESP EII Eclipse full thickness with the EMG 66 in the neck. I'm going to use the clean channel, obviously, with some compression dialed in for that nice squeeze. I won't make it too subtle so that you can really hear the compressor working. And in the effects loop, I'm going to place my Fractal Audio VP4 with some delay and reverb just for some nice ambience. All right, let's go ahead and take a listen right now. Really cool, that sounded wonderful. So that clean channel is really good. More on that later in this video. Now let's get dirty, let's get crunchy. So let's try a sort of low or mid-gain crunch with my ESP EII Eclipse in Vintage Honeyburst with the Seymour Duncan JB in the bridge. And yeah, let's see how this amplifier sounds with the tight switch off and with a bit less gain, just to get a sort of more vintage sounding crunch. Take a listen. All right. Now in the intro track, you heard this amplifier in a modern rock setting with the tight switch on. Now I want to try some extreme metal, and I want to push the front end of this with my favorite boost pedal, the Lichtlerm Audio, the King in Yellow, to make the sound more tight, more modern, and more ferocious. And the guitar that I'm going to use is my Schecter E1 SLS Elite. I think was tuned to drop C. Yeah, with the Fishman Fluence modern ceramic in the bridge for extra tightness and power. And yeah, let's see how that sounds. Take a listen. Really nice. That sounded wonderful. So that was with the tight switch on once again. And for the solo part, I added some delay in post. All right, that sounded really good. Now what I'd like to do is grab a guitar and then play some very simple riffs and chords and dial in all the controls so that you can hear how they sound in a more raw and uncontrolled setting, basically. Check it out. All right, so we are checking out the Orange Gain Baby 100, this very compact solid state amplifier, and as you heard, it sounds pretty darn good. I'm here with my Schecter Solo 2 custom guitar tuned to drop D, one of my workhorse guitars, really nice guitar, plugged into the Gain Baby. And I should not forget to mention that the amp is being fed into my Fatbox, my Grossmann Fatbox, loaded with the Celestion Vintage 30 and mic'd up with 2 SM57s and 1 MD421 Kompakt, going into the DAW where I'm not applying EQ or anything like that. It's not really a complicated amplifier, but we're just going to turn some knobs and I'm going to show you guys how all the controls affect the tone, basically. So we're on the dirty channel right now, but let's go over to the clean channel. And I must say that the clean channel on this amplifier is quite nice. And it has a really nice feature too. Let's see how it sounds with the settings that I have set up right now. That's a beautiful clean tone right there. Now this channel has 2 EQ controls, the treble and the bass control. Let me play around with them real quick so you can hear how those affect the tone. So that's a powerful bass control for sure. You can make your sound really thin or nice and thick and rich. Now let's try the treble control as well. Yeah, so those controls have a nice range for sure. I think I like my sound with the bass at around 1 or 2 o'clock or so, and the treble at 1 o'clock or so. Now, the clean channel has one nice feature on it, which is the compressor. Of course, we also have volume control, which you can use to control the volume. But the compressor is really nice. Let me turn it off. I think that counterclockwise, all the way counterclockwise, it's off. So that made it more quiet as well. Let's start turning it up and see how it affects the tone. As you can see, there's a little LED, and that's sort of indicating what gain reduction is happening there. So if I strum really hard, you can see that the LED lights up. And that means that the compressor is starting to work. But if you play really quietly, it's just very subtly compressing. Let's turn it up even more. So it's nice for that sort of thing, for funky playing and stuff that you usually would have a lot of transient information with, and the compressor sort of tones that down. Now you can go quite crazy with this compressor. Now it starts to really compress the signal. That can be cool for some ambient effects and stuff, but for me that's a little bit too much. So perhaps around noon-ish is a good place. For me personally, probably even less. Yeah, that's a very nice clean tone for sure. So lovely clean channel. Of course, you can spice it up by adding some reverb and delay in the loop and stuff like that. But just for a basic clean tone, that is really nice, especially for a solid state amplifier, right? Right, wonderful. Let's go back to the dirty channel. So I have a thick high gain tone dialed in currently. Let's take another listen. Quite satisfying. So, you know, that is your typical orange high gain tone, thick in the mids with a nice fizzly, sizzly top end. Really cool. So I have bass dialed up a notch. Let me put that to noon, middle as well, treble as well. Let's see how that sounds. Really nice. So yeah, very, very fat and rich in the mids for sure. Let me play around with the EQ controls real quick so you guys can hear how those affect the tone, starting with the bass control. Yeah, that introduces some nice and lovely thick low end. Really nice. The middle control. Yeah, so that's a lot of mid-range, around the 500 hertz area. Not really a mid-range area that I like to boost, so I'm gonna stick to noon for that. Let's try the treble control as well. So yeah, you can brighten up your tone with that. Who knew? So again, around 1 o'clock works fine for my personal taste. Really nice. And then of course we also have a presence control, which you don't see on a lot of orange amplifiers, at least not the ones that I have. So let's see how that affects the tone. So you can use that to darken up the tone or to brighten up the tone, obviously. It doesn't do a whole lot past noon. So that's there if you need it to shape the top end. Very nice. Of course, we also have a gain control, which we'll get to in a second. And then the volume and foot switch volume. So you can have two different volumes going on here. Now, we have this little switch over here, which is the tight switch. I currently have it off, so it's nice and thick. And when you turn that on, the sound gets a little bit more tight. Let's try that. With high gain, it's a little bit less evident than with lower gain, but we'll try that in a minute as well. So it's a little bit more modern with the tight switch on. A great feature for sure, especially if you're going to use extended range guitars and stuff like that. Now, if I dial down the gain, you'll hear much more of a difference. So let's try that. So the more gain you add, the more the effect of that switch is going to be a bit more subtle, I guess. So this is quite a bright sounding crunch when you have it on. That is with the neck pickup. So for a more mid-gain crunch, I would probably turn that switch off. But of course, since this is the gain baby, we're going to turn the gain back up. And that's how I like my tones, with plenty of gain. Sounds really good. Now let me try one more thing. I have a boost pedal up here. It's kind of hard to show you, but this is the Lichtlarm Audio, the King in yellow. It's kind of like a tube screamer. And let's see what happens when we enable that. So this is without and with. Let me compensate a little bit by adding some bass, dialing down the mids a touch. That definitely makes the amp sound more modern and aggressive, right? Great for modern metal. So this amp does take boost pedals really well. Who knew? So of course, it's a solid state amplifier. That's why I was like, I'm curious if that will work well, but it's working really well, in fact. And when we turn it off again. So if you're going to use it without a boost for modern metal, just flick the tight switch and you'll get a better tone. Really nice. So that's the Orange Gain Baby 100. Really cool. So that's the Orange Gain Baby 100. A really nice solid state amplifier with a good price tag too, mind you. I think it sounds really good. It has power. I mean, I was using it at a sort of medium room level and the volume was quite low, and you can turn it up way more and get way more volume out of this thing. So I can definitely see a lot of people using these on stage with 4x12 cabinets with no problems at all and getting some really good tones. Thanks a lot to Orange for sponsoring this video. I really appreciate it. Now, of course, I'd like to know your thoughts as well, so let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on these amplifiers. I'd love to know. Of course, you can get one of these yourself at my affiliate links for Thomann and Sweetwater, or you can get something at Tube Amp Doctor or buy some IR packs or something in my own web store if you want to support the channel. Please also hit the like and subscribe buttons down below, as that really helps the channel out. I'd really appreciate it. And yeah, that was all for today. I hope to see you soon, guys. Cheers.